Hello everyone and welcome. Thanks for stopping by my channel, Get Crafty with Sally. My name is Sally Poole and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. Today we're going to be making one of these cards. It is from the new stamp set that's in the mini catalog called Desert Details, and it comes with matching dies. They are called Desert Detail dies. Isn't it great that now they're calling the stamps and dies by the same name? It makes it so much easier. The set can be found in the new mini catalog. This is for January through April of this year. The suite is on pages 42 and 43. And if you purchase the suite, you get the stamps, dies, the embellishments, which are these pretty gold sequins. There's ribbon and then the 2 packs of paper. Or on page 44, you can just buy the bundle together and get a 10% discount. You also have the option of buying just the stamps or just the dies. And don't forget, when you make purchases now through February 28th, you get to pick free items out of the celebration catalog. So for each $50 or $100, you get to pick a free stamp set or some of the beautiful papers that are in here. So don't miss out on that. So I've done several different variations of this card already, and you can tell depending on which designer series papers you choose for your background in the center, you get a completely different look to this card. This one is in Calypso Coral, and then this is Pale Papaya on the sentiment. These are Soft Succulent and Evening Evergreen, and the sentiments are stamped on Very Vanilla. So let me show you what you need to make this card. You will need, for the base, I've used a piece of Calypso Coral, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. You'll need a piece of designer series paper, 4 by 5 1/4, and that's from the Delicate Desert pack, which I've got here. I've already chopped it up quite a bit. There's some really beautiful papers in here. You'll need a piece of dry brushed metallic paper, and I'm using the Cajun Craze, I guess it's Cajun Craze, and Petal Pink piece. It's from this pack, so it comes in the oranges and bluey greens. So this is all Southwest desert type colors for these papers. You'll also need a piece of DSP that is 2 3/4 by 4. And that is for this centerpiece of the card. And then you'll need a scrap of Pale Papaya to stamp the flower on and also the sentiment. So let's start out with stamping our flower. So I've got my Stamparatus. I'm going to grab my scrap of Pale Papaya. And I'm only putting it in the Stamparatus because I stamped my images a couple times to get a really crisp image. So let's ink up our stamp with our Calypso Coral ink. Give that a good press. Let me grab my little goodie here. If you haven't seen these, they're great for added pressure when you're stamping, or for people that have arthritis and things. Makes it a lot easier to get a good impression of the stamp. And I will tell you right now, when you stamp on this colored paper, any colored paper, the image doesn't come out near as nice as it does on lighter paper. Like if I stamped this on white or even very vanilla, it would be a much crisper image. So that looks pretty good. I don't want to get my magnets next to each other. Let me close up my ink pad. So after I stamped my Desert Bloom flower, I actually spritzed it with champagne mist. I don't know how many of you have that, or if you remember it or not. And it's probably best to let it dry, but I'll spray it right now because I do already have some that are sprayed and cut. So to make this mist spray, you use 70% isopropyl alcohol, and whatever container that you're spraying it from, you would fill it up about 3/4 of the way. And then here is the champagne mist, and you would shake it up. It's got a ball bearing in it. And then you would just put a few drops in here with your alcohol and shake it up. And then you can see if it looks glittery enough for you. If not, you can add a few more drops. So I'm just going to spray this image just a few times from about 12 inches away. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's got a lot of glittery sparkle on it. So the next step would be to cut this out with the die, but I've already done that since I don't want to cut that one that's all wet. And this is what it'll look like. See if you can see the glimmer on that any better. It really is pretty in person. You could also spray the entire card when you were finished if you want, but I decided just to spray the flower. So let's start with taking our a 4" by 5 1/4 piece of designer series paper, and we're going to want to put the centerpiece, glue the centerpiece down. So I'm going to get my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine up here. Hopefully there's enough room. And I've already got these dies taped together because for the foil edge. I'll show you that in a minute. So I've got my base plate 1, plate 2, a plate 3, And I'm going to put down my paper, and I can see through there that it's completely covered by the smaller die. Got all kinds of stuff in the way. So we'll run that through. And there we've got the middle piece that we need. So let's put some glue. I'm just going to use green glue on the back of this. I've got ink all over already from that flower. I found that gluing this piece down first is actually easier than the outside piece. It's kind of hard to look at it with those little points on there and get it square. So try to get this centered as best that you can. That looks pretty good. So then let's take our piece of dry brushed metallic paper and cut the frame for the last piece that we just cut. So same sandwich on our cutting machine. I've only used this new machine a couple times, so it's really making the noises. Oh, I forgot to do one thing. I should have, when I cut that, you can also at the same time cut this little flame looking piece, and you can actually get two of them out of this little centerpiece. So there's the frame that we were after. So let's cut our little flame piece while we're at it, and I get my mini machine for that. So I've got my plate 1, plate 2, my paper, and my die. Hopefully it'll go through without being taped it down. Well, maybe I'll tape it. Just put one little piece of tape on there, should hold it in place. Okay. Let's run that through. And remember, you should be able to get 2 of those out of one of these centers. And I saved all of these little cutout pieces because I actually am going to use them on my card. All right, so there's our little flame piece. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. Maybe some kind of shrubbery, desert shrubbery. So next, let's take our frame, and I actually was a little more tedious with the glue on this. Let me grab a piece of paper so you can see. I'm doing here. Kind of hard to see with that white on white. So I've got this fine tipped glue bottle. It's the same Tombow white glue that I've put in here. It's just a little easier to put it down in a smaller line than the other glue bottle. So I'm just going to go on the inside and outside edges of this frame all the way around. Like I said, it's a little tedious, but you do want to make sure that it stays down on your card. Okay, the last side. Okay, close this up so it doesn't dry out. Then we'll bring in this piece. And it seems to be easier if you match up these little pointed triangle almost designs into the spot that they match. Okay, so let's glue this down to our card base. I'm going to use my tape runner. I don't know about you guys, but I've got, I don't know, 4 or 5 different strengths of reading glasses and a couple prescription glasses, and none of them seem to work very well when I'm doing this, standing up under this light and camera. So get that down on our card base. And then also, and I didn't put this in the measurements at the beginning, I do have a piece of Whisper white paper, and it's cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4. This is for the inside. And I did stamp the bloom in the bottom right corner. And you can see that it does come out a lot better on the very vanilla. And I only did stamp it one time on here. So let's put this on the inside of our card. You could also stamp that on the front of your envelope. That would be nice. So it makes the inside look nice, but there's still plenty of room to write a message. So next, I'm going to grab my little flame and decide where I want it to be. And remember, you still need to put your sentiment up here. So that's a pretty good spot. I'm going to grab some of my glue, and I'm just going to put a little bit under here to catch the center of that and the bottom. Try not to get a bunch of glue all over my fingers. I'm going to come back and glue this down in a minute and give this a chance to dry. And I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of the flower. So I'm going to put one large one at the bottom, and then I'm going to put half pieces up towards the top, because this is where I'm going to slide those extra little cutout pieces, well, on the left side anyway. So let's take the backs off of our dimensionals and place our flower down on the front of our card. And then let's add some of these pieces. So you can decide on, I don't know if you can see this, there's a lot of pink on top of this gold. You can decide which end you want sticking up. I kind of like the pink. And you can see, check where you want it. You can cut the extra off of there if you want, or not. It's fine either way. So let's put a little glue on there. And we'll poke this down inside here. Give it a good press where the glue is. And then I'm also going to grab, I guess that's long enough, that little piece, and we'll put it right here. And then I'm also going to grab this little skinny piece. And I'll put it, oh, see, I'm hitting the dimensional. I'm going to cut the end of that dimension, or the end of this piece off, so I don't have to put it so far underneath. And maybe I won't hit that dimensional. That's much better. Okay, so let's go back and put just a tiny little bit of glue on the end of that piece. And we'll hold it down. Of course, you can do any of these other ones that you want. I don't think they stick far enough up to merit being glued down, but that's certainly your choice. So now let's do our sentiment. And I am actually using, for this card, this Best Wishes stamp from the Happiness Abounds set. And I'm going to stamp it on the pale papaya. So I need my, put a little powder down on here first. I've got my Versamark ink, since I'm going to emboss this in gold. And I'll give this a little press. Bring in a piece of paper to put my embossing powder on. So we'll sprinkle our embossing powder on there. Make sure it's covering all of the Versamark ink. Tap it off. Give it a couple of flicks. Guess I can put this away. You always want to put your lid back on this powder because it really can make a mess. So let me get my heat tool fired up and we'll get that embossed. So pretty. That gold really shows up good on this color. You wouldn't think it would. So another thing I'm going to do quickly before I cut this out, which I didn't do on any of the other orange cards that I did on the green, I'm going to stamp this smaller flower from the set, this one, just a couple times over that embossed sentiment. I'm going to stamp off so it's not too inky. Just gives a little more interest to the sentiment piece. So it's probably not really going to even look like the flowers when it's cut out. So let me get my die to cut that with. And the die that I'm using for this sentiment is from the Stylish Shapes set. If you don't have it, it's great, especially for your sentiments. You've got a lot of choices with that. This one fits in here pretty good, so let's line that up. And I'm going to grab a couple pieces of tape. And then we'll run it through our mini cut and emboss machine. So there's our sentiment. And I just glued mine down. You certainly can pop it up if you want on dimensionals. That would also be a nice look. And I'm just going to put it right up here at the top. Try to center it. And I do like this little point to show on my card still. And then for the final touch, I'm just going to put on some champagne rhinestone basic jewels. I'm going to put a medium-sized one down here. Whoops, came right back off. Let me grab a different one. Put a smaller one. Not under the flower. Right here, and another small one right over here. Hopefully this little guy that came off is still sticky. Okay, so there's our card. What do you think about that? Do you like it? I think this is a great set. So let me grab these other ones again. So I have that. So here's the different background and then inside the center. And then I've got the green. And then this one I did landscape style. So I hope you like these projects today and that you are getting something out of my videos. If you are, please give me the thumbs up, hit the like button, leave a comment, share the video with your friends. That would be awesome. And it would be great if you would subscribe to my channel. It helps grow my channel and I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for stopping by and I'll see you next time. Bye now.